Revealed, the incredible cost of Roman slaves, the hidden lessons that inspire change today, in a town where dreams once danced like the flames from the old diner's kitchen, economic despair clung to the air like smoke. Closed shops lined the streets, their forgotten signs creaking eerily in the wind. Sarah, a 32-year-old single mother, navigated these shattered remnants with resilience that only those who've faced the storms of life can muster. She wore worn-out sneakers and a tired smile, grinding away at 2 jobs just to keep her kids fed, her heart aching for a day free from worry. The moments in the diner were the hardest, long nights filled with empty cups and the distant laughter of families enjoying meals that felt like a world away from her. Beneath the fluorescent lights, she served endless plates, her 2 children waiting for her at home, battling shadows more daunting than her own. Each night, she'd returned to their small apartment, where whispers of dreams still flickered as the kids nestled close to her on worn-out blankets. One night, exhausted and lost in thought, Sarah stumbled upon the old community center nestled between dusty storefronts. Its doors were as tired as she was. Venturing inside, the familiar scent of nostalgia wrapped around her like an embrace from the past. Dim light filtered through dirty windows, illuminating treasures of forgotten moments, a dusty set of yearbooks, tattered photos, and vibrantly colored flyers yelling of community celebrations, pieces of a lifeblood that once thrived here. Yet, among these remnants of joy, a dark echo reverberated through her mind. Sarah unearthed a revelation that smoldered like a fire rekindling. The ghost of labor exploitation lingered, a harrowing tale of how many had suffered for a few to prosper. Her blood boiled with anger as she realized the unspoken shackles that still bound the town and its people. Just like the enslaved in ancient Rome, families here struggled daily under a weight of injustice, their dreams drowned in a sea of societal prejudice. With each uncovering, the ache in Sarah's heart morphed into something more potent, a blazing desire for change. Fueled by the pain of her own struggles, she called together her neighbors, yearning to spark a conversation that might ignite the flickering lights of hope. It started with a few brave souls but quickly drew more, an audience tired of suffering in silence. Yet, as they gathered, old grudges surfaced. Voices rose, accusations flew, and fists slammed against tables like thunder through the heavy air. Before long, Sarah found herself at the epicenter of the chaos. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, her heart beating like a drum, she stepped forward and spoke. "We've all felt it, this hurt, this heaviness, but together, we can face it, together we can fight." Her voice echoed through the room, raw and powerful, challenging each one to confront their upbringing and shared struggles. Her call to action struck a chord, slowly weaving through the fabric of anger in the room. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But as murmurs of agreement began to ripple, the air was thick with lingering resentment. Could they let go of the past? Could they embrace change? Doubts shadowed Sarah's courage. Would her bold stand be enough to stitch together their frayed connections? A hush fell over the crowd as eyes turned towards her, uncertainty dancing in every gaze, but within Sarah, hope churned, determined and unyielding. The future loomed, uncertain yet blistering with potential. Would they take that leap with her, or would their dreams continue to flicker in the shadows? The room felt electric, the tension almost palpable as Sarah stood there, stripped bare of doubt yet enveloped in vulnerability. She noticed the way people shifted in their seats, some leaning forward as if drawn to her courage, while others recoiled, caught in the chains of their past. It was a raw moment, one that could define them all. "Together, we can fight," she repeated, her voice stronger this time, fueled by the fervor building inside her. "We can create a future where our children don't have to bear the weight we carried. But we need to trust each other again." Slowly, a fire began to ignite. Faces softened as some members of the crowd shared glances, forming tentative connections amidst the storm of emotions. One woman, recently widowed, cautiously raised her hand. "I've felt so alone, it's been hard not to lose my way," she admitted, her voice quivering with sorrow. "What can we do?" Sarah's heart soared at the sight of vulnerability. "We gather our stories," she suggested, buoyed by the moment. "Talk about our experiences. We must understand each other if we're to heal." The weight on many shoulders lightened slightly, laughter and tears mingling together as they began introducing themselves, one by one. The crowd shared tales of loss, survival, and the sparks of joy that had lingered on like stubborn embers. As the connection intensified, Sarah seized the opportunity. "We need a vision, a goal," she exclaimed excitedly. "Something that unites us." Suggestions flew across the room: community cleanups, fundraisers for local families in need, art projects to beautify their town. It was exhilarating to witness the flow of energy in the air. Hope rippled through the gathering like a renewed sense of purpose, yet a voice broke through the excitement. It was Ben, known for his harsh demeanor and sharp tongue. "What's the point?" he demanded, crossing his arms. "You think by cleaning up a park, everything changes? That's just a drop in the ocean." A hush fell over the room as murmurs of dissent erupted among those in agreement with him. They had fought for so long, and Ben's words tore through their fragile optimism, leaving uncertainty hanging like fog. Sarah's heart raced, feeling the ground shift beneath her. "It's more than just cleanup," she countered, unwavering. "It's South about reclaiming our place, turning this place into what we want. It starts small, but if we come together, it builds like a wave." Ben frowned but didn't protest. She could see he was no different from anyone else. Desperation echoed in his eyes, a hunger to belong somewhere beyond his bitterness. It was a turning point. As heated debates erupted over the best approach, laughter and disagreement intermingled, shifting the tension from despair to dynamism. That evening, under flickering fluorescent lights, community ties started weaving together again, a fragile thread spinning into something bigger. But as they brainstormed, the clock continued to tick away their time. Reality loomed, pressing in hard against the walls of hope. The night came to a close with a promise of follow-up meeting scheduled for the weekend. It was not much, but it was a start, the first taste of change. Sarah sensed a spark in her chest, but would it be enough to keep the flame alive? As she stepped outside, the cool air kissed her face, invigorating but bittersweet. A vision danced in her mind of what could be a tapestry of voices, a chorus of strength. But looming in the corners of her thoughts was the question that unsettled her: would they rally together again, or would the shadows of doubt swallow their dreams once more? Determined, she took a deep breath and made her way home, ready to face the darker shades of her world. Yet the balance was delicate, and the real test awaited just around the bend. Would the community stay united, or would the threads unravel when faced with the first real challenge? As Sarah walked through the quiet streets, her mind replayed the evening's events. The laughter, the stories shared, the brief spark of hope. It all felt fragile. The cool breeze brushed against her skin, and she could almost hear the whispers of those who opened up, but the echo of Ben's harsh words lingered like a ghost. What if he was right? What if all their efforts crumbled before they even had a chance to take root? Arriving home, she took a moment to gather her thoughts. The towering stacks of bills on her coffee table reminded her of the responsibilities that never seemed to fade, the weight of expectations pressing heavily on her chest. She dropped her bag on the floor, the soft thud grounding her just a bit. One more debt to reconcile, one more task to juggle. She wandered to the kitchen, flicking on the lights. The warm glow enveloped her like a hug. It was small, but it felt safe. She set about brewing tea, the ritual calming her racing thoughts. As the kettle whistled, she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the window. There she was, tired but determined, ready to fight for something greater than herself. It was in the quiet moments like this, the ones that felt so mundane, that she found clarity. The smell of steeping tea filled the air, and she grabbed a notebook. Her ideas for the community echoed in her mind. The art projects, the fundraisers, the chance for everyone to connect. She needed to jot them down. But along with the bright ideas, a nagging doubt crept in. What would happen when they faced their first challenge? Flipping to a fresh page, she began writing a letter. A letter to the community, a heartfelt invitation to stand together, to fight against their own fears and uncertainty. If she wanted them to trust one another, they needed to start with honesty. She poured her heart out, her pen flying across the page as she recounted their gathering, the good, the bad, and the raw truth of feeling vulnerable. After several minutes, she laid the pen down. This had to be shared, a heartfelt note to ignite a fire in others. The tea kettle let out a soft sigh. Pouring herself a cup, she cradled it between her hands, feeling the warmth seep into her fingertips. She gazed out the window, watching the neighborhood slowly quiet down. Each lit window told a story, each shadow a reminder of someone who felt just as lost as she sometimes did. That night, sleep came only after hours of tossing and turning. She dreamed of the meeting, of laughter and connection, but it always ended in a shadow. She woke in a panic, her heart racing as she realized the meeting was just a few days away. The day of the follow-up arrived with an overcast sky, clouds looming like an unwelcomed cloud of doubt. Sarah's stomach twisted with anxiety as she prepared herself. Would anyone show up? Would they embrace her vision, and could they push past the arguments? As she entered the community hall, she caught a glimpse of several familiar faces. They greeted one another with tentative smiles, a mix of hope and skepticism painted across their features. But just then, Sarah noticed a group of newcomers lingering by the entrance, their whispers barely audible. Curiosity tugged at her mind. Who were they? Were they here to join or to judge? Before she could decide, a loud crash echoed through the hall, grabbing everyone's attention. A table had tipped, causing papers and chairs to scatter across the floor. The noise felt like a breaking point, a shattering of the very fragile hope they had built. She took a deep breath, stepping toward the uproar, determination brewing within her. She had to address this moment, and she had to do it now. Let us shine a light on this together. She called out, her voice echoing against the high walls. It was now or never. Would they rise to this challenge, or shatter under its weight? As all eyes turned to her, she felt that familiar thrill of vulnerability. But this time, it was paired with the steely confidence that maybe, just maybe, they could step forward, together. Would they seize that moment, or would they let doubt dictate their narrative once again? Only time would tell. Everyone's gaze fell on Sarah, and for a heartbeat, silence filled the hall. The scattered debris of the fallen table painted an overwhelming picture of unpredictability. She could feel a mix of emotions swirling around her: fear, hope, trepidation. It was palpable, every heartbeat a reminder that they were on the brink of something. Taking a step closer to the haphazard pile of chairs, Sarah pulled in a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs. We all come with our own stories and baggage, she began, her voice steadier than she felt. Just like this table, overloaded and chaotic. But what matters is how we choose to clean up the mess together. We can either walk away or start fresh. Slowly, a few faces began to nod. A younger woman, her arms wrapped around herself, stepped forward. You're right, she said softly. I came here today hoping to find something. I guess I didn't think others would feel this way too. A ripple of agreement spread through the crowd. Someone else joined in, I didn't think anyone would want to join me after what happened last time. I didn't say anything for weeks, thinking I was alone in feeling that way. The atmosphere shifted. It was as if a shared vulnerability weaved them together. Sarah could see in their eyes that the newcomers weren't hostile but searching for connection, just like everyone else in that room. She glanced at the mess on the floor, packing away her nerves. Let us clean this up together. Then, let us talk about what brought us here. You want to find something in this community? Let us uncover it together. One by one, people began to stand, helping each other lift the chairs, gather papers, and set the space to rights. With every movement echoing laughter and shared stories, the tension in the room started to lift. The newcomers were introduced: Janet, Mark, and Elise, all expressing their hesitations and hopes. Wow, I didn't think you had all these ideas. Janet exclaimed, pointing to Sarah's list on the nearby board. A bake sale, an art show, a book club, these could really work. I'd love to help organize them. Sarah's heart swelled. As they began brainstorming, the community hall transformed from a place of doubt into a space overflowing with dreams. There, in the midst of shared insights, laughter, and those tentative first steps toward bonding, Sarah realized she wasn't alone either. Still, somewhere deep inside, a question flickered. What would happen when the real challenges began? She couldn't help but think about Ben's comments and if the fragile nature of their connection would hold under pressure. Yet she pushed that worry aside. For now, they were moving forward. As the clock ticked down on their first meeting, excitement filled the air. Ideas flowed freely, and the initial bonds began to grow stronger. But just before concluding, Sarah felt an unsettling weight settle back in. Listen, I want to be honest with all of you. There may be times we disagree or we may hit bumps in the road. Can we be brave enough to face it together? Her voice firm yet gentle, she locked eyes with the group, seeking their commitment. Heads nodded, and murmurs of agreement echoed back. She felt a spark ignite. This was just the beginning of their journey, yet as they began to pack up, excitement mingled with the familiar feeling of doubt creeping back. She smiled, a thin veneer stretched over the uncertainty clinging to her gut. Would they truly have the courage to stay united through conflicts? Would their shared hope withstand the tests to come? As the group dispersed, Sarah found herself standing by the door, fatigue washing over her. Just then, she spotted Ben lurking at the far end of the hall, watching them with an unreadable expression. Her heart raced. She had hoped this wasn't the last they'd see of him, but was he there to challenge her once more? Or had he come to support the very change he had doubted? The implications of his presence sent a shiver through her. What was he going to do? Sarah had never felt the stakes rise this high before. Would she dive into that uncertainty with open arms, or would Ben's doubts extinguish the spark they had ignited? The air was thick with possibility, and she braced herself for whatever came next. Ben's eyes met Sarah's. In that moment, the world around her faded, the noise of laughter and camaraderie dimming into a low hum. She felt like a deer caught in headlights, frozen by the weight of uncertainty. Would he speak? Would he tell her how delusional she was for thinking they could come together and make something of this community? He took a step forward, the floor creaking beneath his weight. Sarah swallowed hard, her heart pounding an anxious rhythm. Sarah, he finally said, his voice breaking the tension like glass shattering. He hesitated, and she could see the conflict in his eyes. He seemed torn between wanting to express support and the urge to challenge her initiative, a duality that felt rougher than the wood scattered on the floor. Can we talk? He asked, nodding toward the back exit, away from the crowd. Her stomach twisted at the invitation and the uncertainty it presented, but she nodded. Sure. Once outside, the cool evening air wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, yet the tension remained palpable. A few stars shimmered in the dusk sky, but Sarah couldn't feel the beauty of the moment. Too many questions loomed over her head. Look, Ben began, running a hand through his hair, I didn't mean to. I didn't want to undermine what you're trying to do. It's just that his words faltered momentarily. It's hard for me to trust this group would stay engaged. I've seen it fall apart before. There it was, the harsh truth that had been hiding in the shadows. Sarah's heart sank. I understand, she replied softly, but if we don't try, how will we know? I'm just asking for a chance to prove that we can build something together. Yeah, but what if it doesn't work? He challenged her, his eyes searching hers for certainty. What if it all crumbles again? It's not just the shame, it's disappointing everyone involved. Fire sparked within her. Then we learn, she said, her voice gaining strength. We figure out what went wrong and try again. This is bigger than just us, Ben. It's about creating something that lasts. Community matters. We can't let fear win. For a second, he appeared to consider her words, studying her face. "You're really passionate about this," he finally said, and there was a hint of admiration in his expression that made her pulse quicken. "I believe in us," she insisted, her voice steady. "I believe we can be better together. But I can't do it alone. I need you, Ben. I need everyone. If we're going to face the doubts, we have to start here, together." She waited, hope building in her chest like a flame, but there was still uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "So you think all of this is enough to make a difference?" "I do," she declared with fierce determination. "But nothing will change if we don't take that first step. We have to be willing to face the bumps and find strength in each other, even when it's hard." Ben nodded, his expression softening just a little, yet she could tell he was still grappling with his concerns. The knot within her tightened. Would he take that leap of faith with her? The rustling from inside the hall reminded them they weren't alone, and Sarah reeled from the pressure of the moment. She wanted him to see that their connection could withstand more than just a little pushback. Perhaps she could be the change he needed. With a deep breath, Ben finally spoke again. "Okay. I'll give it a shot. But if it doesn't work, if it falls apart again, we might not get another chance." "Deal," Sarah replied, her heart soaring. Just then, as they headed back into the hall, the doors swung wide open, revealing an astonishing sight. As the group's chatter filled the space, an unexpected flicker of light caught her eye from across the room. And there, against the wall, stood an old banner half hidden and forgotten. With a mix of curiosity and urgency, Sarah approached it, drawn to an idea that ignited in her mind. "Ben, wait. Look at that." He followed her, pulse racing, while the others turned to see what had caught her attention. Would this old banner, a relic from long-gone events, spark something transformative for their community? And would it unravel memories long buried, or was it the key to forging a new future together? The air crackled with anticipation, and they all leaned in closer, unsure of what would unfold next. As Sarah approached the banner, her heart raced with possibilities. The tattered edges whispered stories of a past community, one that once rallied together to celebrate achievements, build bonds, and forge dreams. There it hung, a remnant of what could be again. "Look at the date," Ben said, pointing as he stepped closer. "They held festivals here every year for 20 years. It's like a time capsule." She squinted at the faded letters. Yes, the years seemed ancient, but the colors still managed to breathe life. On it were words that glimmered with hope, and images of people celebrating. "It's testament to what we can achieve if we come together." "It looks like it's seen better days," a voice piped up. It was Lily, someone from the back of the room who had harbored her own doubts about the community effort. "It has," Sarah admitted. "But it's not just about how it looks. It represents all the times people believed in something bigger than themselves. We can use it to spark that same belief now." Lily stepped closer, her expression softening. "You really think this could reignite our connection? Make people care again?" "I know it can," Sarah said, feeling the pulse of the group's curiosity surrounding her like a warm breeze. "We can host a revival event. Bring this banner back to life. We'll share stories, celebrate our history, but also remind ourselves of what we want for the future." Ben crossed his arms, eyeing the banner with a thoughtful frown. "It might just be a banner, Sarah. You're banking a lot on a piece of fabric." "Not just a piece of fabric," she replied, her voice firm. "It's a symbol. Something to anchor our community. It could remind everyone of what mattered and what still can. Sometimes, all we need is a catalyst to relight the fire." With a heavy sigh, Ben finally nodded. "But we need to be real about this. We can't just slap a fresh coat of paint on old ideas and call it good. If we do this, we have to commit. People won't accept anything less." Excitement fluttered in her chest. "Then let us commit. Let us dig into our history, find stories, and let people know they belong." The discussions around them began to grow, voices soft yet filled with newfound energy. Ideas sparkled in the air, and Sarah could sense the shift happening. She could almost see their hearts opening, pieces of hope stitching together. Suddenly, there was laughter from the corner as Bruce, a relatively quiet member of the group, chimed in. "If we're pulling out old banners, we should probably dig out the old hot dog cart too. Can't have a festival without food." Laughter bubbled through the room, breaking the tension as Sarah smiled at Bruce's unexpected humor. "See?" she said, feeling buoyed. "This is what I mean. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to come from us, from our heart." As they continued brainstorming, each suggestion coming in like lightning in a bottle, Sarah felt the air grow dense with potential. This could be at the moment they turned the tide, but as excitement rose, a nagging thought whispered in her mind. What if they didn't just revive memories but awaken deeper conflicts within the community, unresolved issues that could threaten the fragile unity they were trying to build? Just then, Ben interrupted her thoughts. "All right, I'm in. But we need to be prepared. If we dive into this, we must confront anything that comes up. History isn't always pretty, and not everyone might agree on how we honor it." Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. She nodded, knowing this was true. Their revival could expose more than they bargained for. "Then let us tackle it together," she said, determination rising once more. "If it means healing old wounds, I say we go for it. But we'll need all hands on deck. No hiding." As they began to create tasks and organize plans, she couldn't shake the question forming in the back of her mind. Would this journey truly bring them closer together or drive old divisions further apart? The laughter continued, fading into deeper discussions, while Sarah's heart raced. It was time to ignite the past, but what shadows would this banner cast? As the energy in the room began to swell, Sarah felt a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The atmosphere buzzed with ideas and laughter, yet the weight of history hung over them, like a storm in the distance, ready to unleash its fury. "Okay, let us break it down," Ben suggested, gathering everyone's attention again. "What kind of stories do we want to tell at this revival? We need to shape the narrative before we start reaching out to others." Sarah took a deep breath, ready to take the lead. "We could collect stories from different people about what this community meant to them. Maybe we'll even hear about the good and the bad, how things have changed over the years." Lily raised her hand tentatively. "What if those memories aren't all good? What if people are bitter about the past? It might open old wounds." Nods rippled through the group, and a hush fell over them. Sarah bit her lip, feeling that familiar knot in her stomach. That's possible. But isn't that part of healing? Acknowledging the hurts along with the happiness? We can't move forward if we keep ignoring what has happened. Bruce, who had been listening quietly, spoke up again. "Maybe that's why we needed to pull this banner out of storage. It's not just about celebrating. It's about understanding our history, embracing all of it." "Right!" Sarah exclaimed, feeling the momentum build, though she still couldn't shake her worries. "We can create a space where people feel safe to share both perspectives. It could be cathartic, and necessary." Ben nodded, looking encouraged now. "If we manage to do that, we might really create a connection. Maybe that's what this banner represents, a chance to come together and face everything head-on." Fueled by this newfound resolve, they dove into specifics, discussing how to collect stories, inviting the quieter members of the community to contribute without fear of judgment. Sarah watched as names poured onto the whiteboard, feelings of hope igniting once more. Still, in the back of her mind, uneasiness lingered. Would everyone be as open as they hoped? What if the stories they unearthed brought more conflict than unity? Would they be ready for that? As the discussions continued, Sarah felt a flicker of courage. "I believe that if we stay focused on the goal of healing, maybe we can pull through the hardest parts. After all, that's how a community grows stronger." Ben chimed in, "Just remember, we might not be able to predict how everyone will react. We need to be prepared for hurt feelings, too. Absolutely, she agreed. But if we don't at least try, then we're stuck. We owe it to ourselves, to everyone who came before us, to give it a real shot. Finally, after hours of planning, they turned their attention back to the banner. It seemed to glow under the flickering lights, a reminder of their commitment to rediscover who they were. Then Bruce, ever the light-hearted spirit, added, "And let us not forget about the hot dog cart. We'll need it for the festival. Good memories and good food, what a combo." Laughter erupted, the tension easing into a hopeful lightness as they brainstormed event details. But even amidst the laughter, Sarah's heart thrummed with uncertainty. As they wrapped up the meeting, planning to gather stories the following week, Sarah felt a chill. What if the shadows of their past turned out to be darker than they anticipated? What if confronting them revealed more division than connection? As the last of the group filtered out, she stayed behind. Alone with the banner, she touched the faded fabric, feeling the echoes of history cradled within it. Could they really face those shadows together? Just then, the door creaked as someone re-entered. It was Lily, looking serious. "Sarah, wait, there's something I haven't told anyone yet. Something about our community's past." Sarah's pulse quickened, curiosity and concern swirling within her. "What is it?" she asked, heart racing. Lily looked around, as if checking for eavesdroppers. "You might want to sit down for this." "Sit down?" Sarah echoed, feeling a knot of anxiety tightening in her chest. She motioned towards a nearby folding chair, and Lily settled down across from her, anxiety visible in the crease of her brow. "What is it, Lily?" Sarah pressed, the weight of anticipation hanging heavily between them. Lily took a deep breath, as if to prepare for the plunge into a difficult conversation. "You know that banner we were talking about? The one that represents our community?" Sarah nodded, her pulse quickening even more. "I've heard stories that some older community members have shared. About why that banner was put away in the first place." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Years ago, there was a split. A horrible rift that divided families. It's hard to talk about." Lily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. People stopped talking to each other, even at family gatherings. It was like a plague that spread, all because of a single event tied to that very banner. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. "What event?" "It was during a festival similar to the one we want to have now. There was an argument, something small escalated quickly. It hurt feelings, pride. But later, someone took matters into their own hands. They made serious accusations about favoritism and betrayal in the community." Sarah leaned forward, gripped by Lily's words. "But that doesn't explain," Lily interrupted, her voice tinged with urgency. "Someone got hurt. Really hurt. And it unleashed a torrent of anger that pitted neighbor against neighbor. Families grew distant, lifelong friendships shattered. And that banner was put away, like a symbol of all that pain. It turned from a celebration into a reminder of everything that went wrong." The room fell into a heavy silence. The echo of Lily's revelation hung in the air like a bad memory refusing to fade. Sarah felt her heart race as she stared at the banner hanging in the background, a beacon of hope now cloaked in an ominous shadow. "I didn't want you to dig into this revival without knowing. You and Ben seem so determined, but I don't want us to repeat history. Maybe it's better to leave the past alone." Lily's voice trembled, vulnerability shining through her stoic exterior. "No," Sarah finally whispered, shaking her head. "We can't turn back now. We need to face this. We must. If we go in knowing the truth, we can approach the past with caution. This is our chance to finally heal what has been broken." "Are you sure?" Lily's expression was a mix of concern and hesitation, the weight of responsibility pressing down on both of them. "Yeah, I'm sure." But even as Sarah spoke, doubts swirled in her mind. What if they uncovered anger instead of healing? Lily's eyes reflected uncertainty as she met Sarah's gaze. I hope you're right. I want to be a part of this healing, but it feels too big, too risky. As they sat amidst the quiet hum of the empty room, Sarah clutched the banner's fabric tightly, her heart racing. This was more than a project, it was a reckoning. But she couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows they were about to confront could turn their revival into chaos. What if the stories we uncover aren't just painful but dangerous? Sarah breathed, the enormity of their task pressing heavily upon her heart. Lily looked down, pondering. Maybe we should tread lightly or think about how to prepare everyone for what might come. Or Sarah's voice trailed off, an idea forming. Or we can set a tone from the start. We can share our own stories first. If we show our hearts, maybe others will feel safe to open up too. Lily's eyes widened slightly, the faintest glimmer of hope flickering within them. Sarah felt a pulse of determination. What if we start with our truths? Would that help? Lily nodded slowly, contemplating the prospect. Just then, the clattering of the door sent a chill through the room as Ben burst in. Hey, guys. What's the plan? Are we ready? As Sarah exchanged a glance with Lily, she knew they had to confront this together. But could they uphold the foundation of trust required for truth in their community? Ben, we might need to discuss some heavy stuff, she began, but before she could finish her thought, Ben interrupted with excitement. Let us gather everyone for a meeting tomorrow. We'll need some energy to tackle whatever comes next. And as Sarah looked back at the banner, she felt that same old knot tighten anew. The thrill and fear of what lay ahead teetered on a precipice. Could they really bring their community together after all this time? With a deep breath, Sarah glanced at Lily, the shadows of the past whispering louder in her ears. Tomorrow wasn't just another gathering, it was the beginning of a reckoning. Would they summon the courage to face whatever would come knocking on their doors? The sun dipped low in the sky as Sarah and Lily sat in the fading light, lost in thoughts of the meeting ahead. The stark realization of what they were about to tackle loomed large. It wasn't just a gathering, it was a crossroad. Each thought about the past nudged at their hearts, filling them with equal parts dread and determination. Do you think anyone will even show up? Lily said, breaking the silence. Her voice was a mix of hope and uncertainty. I have to believe they will, Sarah replied, sitting taller. This is our chance to do something real and meaningful. We can show them the value of coming together again. Just then, Ben returned, a stack of flyers clutched in his hands. I printed out some flyers for tomorrow's meeting. We need to get the word out. His enthusiastic energy brightened the room, and it reminded Sarah of the strength they all had when working as a team. But as she glanced back at the banner, her heart sank anew, a reminder that the rift they aimed to heal was more complicated than it appeared. What do you think we should say? Lily asked, her voice carefully measured. Something that speaks to healing and hope, Sarah suggested. We need them to know it isn't just about the past, it's about their future too. Ben nodded, lifting the first flyer. How about starting with our own stories, just like you suggested? Everyone has something to offer. It could set the tone we need. As they brainstormed, Sarah felt the knot of anxiety slowly unravel. The idea of sharing their truths began to fill her with a sense of purpose. But doubt still danced in the back of her mind. What if their truths opened wounds that were too deep to heal? We should be prepared for anything, Lily interjected, her voice a low whisper, filled with caution. If emotions run high, it could backfire. Yeah, but we have to be brave, Ben added, an edge of seriousness creeping into his tone. We can't just avoid the tough stuff. People need to see we're all in this together. Lily looked torn, glancing between Sarah and Ben. I just wish we could guarantee everyone's safety emotionally and physically. What if it doesn't go well? What if someone lashes out? The thought hung heavy in the air. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine but tried to mask it with determination. Look, it's going to be hard, but isn't that the point? We are carrying the weight of the past, we can't just brush it aside. Lily wrung her hands nervously. Okay. If we're doing this, we should have a plan in place. Maybe we can encourage people to express their feelings safely, maybe even have someone there to mediate if things get tense. Good idea, Ben said. Let us figure it out tonight. We need to make sure that it's safe for everyone involved. As they spoke, a newfound energy filled the room as ideas flowed freely. They worked into the night, crafting flyers, discussing their stories, and planning ways to create an atmosphere of openness. Sarah could feel the weight on her shoulders lifting, replaced by a sense of camaraderie and hope, but even as they prepared, doubts still tugged at Sarah's heart. How many secrets would be unearthed? Would their community embrace honesty or retreat into old fears? The plan buzzed with potential, yet as Ben finally declared they were ready for the meeting tomorrow, an unsettling thought crept in: what if they weren't prepared for what was to come? Okay, let us do this, Sarah said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. But we have to promise each other that no matter what happens, we'll stand by each other. Together. Together, they echoed, their voices a soft vow into the night. As they wrapped up for the evening, Sarah felt the weight of the banner behind her, still a looming reminder of the pain they would face. But she also felt something else, an unyielding hope sparked by the bond they were forming. What awaited them in the dawn of their reckoning? Would their bravery rewrite the narrative steeped in pain, or would the echoes of the past prove too strong to silence? The day of reckoning dawned, bright yet fraught with anxiety. The air crackled with anticipation as Sarah arrived early at the community hall, her heart drumming a quick rhythm of hope and dread. The weather seemed to echo her feelings, the sun appearing reluctantly from behind the clouds, casting a soft glow on the old banner that fluttered lightly in the breeze. As more people began to trickle in, her nerves began to unravel a bit. Familiar faces arrived, some hopeful, others skeptical. She recognized the weight each individual bore, pain etched into their eyes, uncertainty in their movements. But there was also a flicker of curiosity, a hunger for connection that urged them to step forward. Ben arrived, a determined glint in his eye. Are you ready for this? He asked, his voice steady. Ready as I'll ever be, Sarah replied, her breath hitching slightly. She glanced around, noticing the small crowd forming and the murmurs of hushed conversations, each one a heartbeat resonating with the shared pulse of possibility. As the clock struck 6, she stepped forward, nerves coiling in her stomach like tightly wound springs. Thank you all for coming, she began, her voice wavering just a bit. Today is about us, about our community. We need to talk about our past, yes, but also about what we want for our future. Silence swept through the hall. Eyes met hers, some displaying fear, others a quiet eagerness. She pressed on, recalling the banner behind her, the stories hidden within its ragged fabric. We're here to honor those stories, both the light and the dark. We must not avoid the difficult conversations. Real healing can't happen in silence, she encouraged. A voice broke through the quiet. It was Janet, one of the newcomers. I found it hard to believe that people would actually want to hear each other out. But, I want to try. What do you need from us? The question was a spark igniting amidst the gathering tension. Sarah found her footing. Openness. Vulnerability. I believe deeply that if we share our truths, we can start to understand each other and rebuild trust. One by one, stories began to flow. People shared laughter, tears, regrets, and hopes. From light-hearted anecdotes about forgotten festivals to heavy revelations of heartache that had persisted through the years, each word stitched together a deeper understanding, a shared humanity woven through the fabric of their community, but it wasn't easy. Tensions occasionally flared, just as Sarah had feared. Ben's voice rose just into a plea: we can't ignore the pain of our past. We must learn from it. While others bristled, unwilling to revisit the hurt, the division, and the bitterness. Maybe we shouldn't have brought back the banner. Someone shouted, the words echoing through the hall like a storm surge threatening to overtake them. Sarah felt her heart race. She stepped in, her voice piercing through the tension. This banner represents us, our complexities. It's both the good and the ugly, and we need to examine our history, not cover it up. We have to face it together. With her vivid conviction, something shifted, the room collectively inhaled, absorbing her words. A woman rose, her voice shaky yet powerful. I didn't think my voice mattered. I lost so much when the argument happened, but I've realized even buried under resentment, I still care about this community. Her confession hung in the air, a candid clarity unearthing shared fears. Slowly, others joined in. They spoke about their families torn apart by misunderstandings, about feeling unheard and isolated. As they shared, that knot within Sarah loosened ever so slightly, the raw honesty began to generate empathy and connection, breaking down long-standing walls. With every truth unfolded, sparks of healing blossomed. Someone offered a suggestion to gather all the stories into a community book, a record of their past, highlighting pain and resilience, a promised testament to their shared journey. Sarah's heart swelled, a gentle warmth spreading through her chest. This was it. Beneath the surface of simmering tensions lay the beautiful potential of unity. The spark ignited. Would they choose to grow together instead of apart? Finally, the conversation shifted, weaving toward a shared vision for the future. Ideas flowed freely like a river, gaining momentum. Plans for a revival festival sprawled before them, born out of lessons learned and hearts renewed. Bleary eyes twinkled with renewed purpose, and as laughter erupted again, it felt like a chorus of hope, echoing against the walls of their past. As they prepared to wrap up, Sarah raised her voice. Thank you all for confronting your fears and speaking your truths. We might not have all the answers, but we have the courage to keep moving forward, together. Let us promise to support each other through this, no matter what challenges come next. A wave of nods, a ripple of agreement washed across the room. They were a community, weak yet undeniably strong when joined together. As the gathering dispersed, Sarah lingered behind, looking up at the banner now glowing in the soft golden light, its presence no longer a weight but a promise, an emblem of unity, bravery, and hope. She realized that their journey was not about perfection but progress. They were just beginning to write a new story, one with room for everyone. And as she stepped outside, she felt lighter, free to dream anew, a community reborn. The sky spread above her like a canvas, and she felt alive. This was only the beginning. And now, dear viewer, this is where you come in. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire positive change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this momentum going. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to be part of the journey unfolding. Don't wait not even one more second.